All right, welcome back here to section number 2. We are now diving into, we just discussed our problems and our possibility. You know what comes right in the middle of that, though, because we've done this throughout our entire series, which is the topic of the principles. So what's the psychology that I'm going to have now that I've learned the entire framework of strategic seduction, and I'm beginning to apply this as a psychology and a container for the way that I operate inside of business and in life as a marketer and a closer. What are the principles I need to know? The first principle we're going to jump into is the following. Without the container, you can't contain her. You like that? I rhymed that shit for you. It's like a bad joke from your grandpa. All right, so principles. Without the container, you can't contain her. Okay, so what do I mean by this? Okay, what do I mean by this? So take a tactic, okay, inside of Facebook ads. Take a tactic inside of let's look at a different one. Look at YouTube ads. Take a tactic inside of a webinar. Take a tactic inside of, like, whatever it is. It doesn't even matter what the traffic source is or the conversion mechanism. It doesn't even matter. Take a tool or a tactic. Okay, ClickFunnels, take Infusionsoft, take Entreport, take whatever. I don't give a fuck. Like, take a tool and take a tactic, either one, and here's the reality. That tool or tactic is only as powerful as the container, which means if we said the her was the tactic and the tool, here is our her. That without the container, you can't contain her. So I step into a room, okay, and we dive into a very tactical conversation. I just had this conversation with another consultant that we brought in. This consultant's making tens of thousands of dollars a month inside of one of my companies working on a specific, very detailed, very specific marketing strategy that very few companies can employ because of the amount of bandwidth, the size of your team that you have to pull it off, the duration of time, the commitment of resource, and the hundreds of thousands of dollars a week, and the amount of patience that you have to have in this game. Okay, so I'm putting it out there. But even with as powerful as that technician was coming in, what allows my teams and I to implement with speed is because we have massive containers. Our containers hold the frame of persuasion and influence and strategic seduction. So when we invite people in to teach us new tactics and to teach us new techniques and to introduce new tools, someone says, here is a software, try this. Somebody introduces and says, here is an opportunity to test this strategy. We're like, okay, no problem. And we take that tool and we put that tool inside of our framework, and what comes out of that are big ass results. Why? Because the tactic of a Facebook ad strategy, or the tactic of a LinkedIn ad strategy, or the tactic of an email strategy, or the tactic of a ManyChat strategy, or whatever the tactic is, tactics fucking change all the time. What doesn't change are fundamental principles of marketing, persuasion, and influence. Human beings are human beings are human beings are human beings. Human beings do not change. Many books, one even written on this subject called Predictably Irrational. Like, human beings are naturally evolving emotional creatures who do not make buying decisions or decisions in life that are driven by logic. We think we do, but we do not. And at this point, we have clearly covered that. So all we're saying inside of this is without the container, you can't contain her. And the size of your container ultimately opens you to be able to experience more tactics, more tools, and more systems, and more ways of doing things that make your competitors fucking irrelevant because of the size of your container. We can put more at play because you have an operating system to work. It's like a cell phone with a bunch of apps. Your operating system is insanely powerful, which means we can load that bitch up with 300 apps. Thing doesn't slow down. Your operating system is shit. We put 2 apps on there. You fall apart. You want to blame the apps when the truth is your operating system is shit. 2. Seduction. Excuse me. Seduction is who you are, not what you do. So this becomes a big challenge too, is that people will study strategic seduction like they're trying to study a tactical game with YouTube, okay, or a tactical game with blog, okay, or a tactical game with Instagram, or a tactical game with LinkedIn, or a tactical, whatever it is, the way they're doing email copy, the way they're shooting videos. We're like, well, it should be 18 minutes and it should follow 8 the party, beat the party, beat the party, beat the party. Listen, you're 18 minutes and you're beat the party, beat the party, beat the party, and all your tactical shit you're trying to do is fucking worthless without understanding that seduction is not a tactic. Seduction is a way of being and exchanging with other people. No one wants to be sold, everybody wants to be seduced. And knowing that as a reality, then seduction must become who you are. It is not what you do. I don't do marketing. I am a marketer. It's an identity. Strategic seduction becomes how you view the world. It is the operating system that interprets the apps and the users of the apps on the operating system. It is the controlling force. It is the Game of Thrones beneath the surface of what is happening on the top. Number 3, principle 3. People love to buy, hate to be sold. People love to buy, but hate to be sold. So here's as you look at strategic seduction, what you're really comparing, okay, what you're really comparing is motivation, manipulation, hype, motivation, manipulation, and hype married up to what strategic seduction is, which is inspiration, innovation, and reality. Right? I love strategic seduction as an ideology has set me free. And people say, where did you get strategic seduction? Listen, I studied and invested millions. No exaggeration, no motivation, no manipulation, no hype in that statement. Millions of dollars. In both the retaining of consultants, coaches, mentors, trainers to teach me, books, webinars, audios that I attended, events that I attended. And then on top of that, what has now rallied up to $17 million in just the past 6 years that I have used in testing and building under strategic seduction models. I've spent to test and build shit, to figure shit out. And how to come into a game of saying, listen, motivation, manipulation, and hype do not work. And everybody's trying to out-hype each other right now. Out-hype each other, out-motivate, out-manipulate, out-clickbait, whatever. We're saying no, inspire. We're saying innovation and reality becomes the function of seduction. And that is why people love to buy who are being seduced, but hate to be sold. Right? And we eliminate this don't want to be sold to thing because inside seduction, an individual even knows what's happening. I will train people on this and then do it to them. They know exactly what's happening and they laugh and giggle. Just like I do. We all love to be seduced. There's not one situation in your life you do not like to be seduced. If it is towards a desirable outcome, if somebody, a woman, a man, is seducing you to a desired outcome, if your spouse is sexually seducing you to an outcome, it's not like you're sitting there going, I fucking hate you. Right? No, this doesn't happen. But when I'm trying to sell versus seduce, everything is difficult. Number 4. This is like like the capstone. This is like this is the big hat on top. This is the yarmulke. This is the sanctuary of sacredness inside the whole game. Are you ready? Patience brings prosperity. Okay, so here was the challenge that I faced. Okay, so let's go look at old Garrett, who faced all these problems that we've discussed over this entire series, okay, which was how this was all born. I didn't make this shit up. This was evolved. This became the evolution of my own investments, my own experience. And inside of that, the old Garrett had no patience. No patience. Like no patience. And inside of no patience, there was no space. And we've talked about this over and over again. When there's no space, there is scarcity. And now we default back into this game of motivation, manipulation, and hype and desperation. See, when you don't demonstrate patience and when you don't seduce, when you just try to go from communicate message to give me some fucking money, like when you do that, when you're the person who does not continually market, when you are the person who does not see yourself as a marketer, when you don't see yourself as a harvester, when you don't see yourself as a farmer instead of a hunter, when you don't start seeing yourself from this place, then you desperately turn your phone on and you start trying to pitch some shit, and then you wonder why nobody buys. Because you have no patience. You think because you started talking today that people should buy from you today. That is not the case. You start talking today, people who start listening to you today will buy from you 9 months from now, 12 months from now. I have people started hearing me talk 4 years ago who are buying from me for the very first time today. Patience brings prosperity. No patience, no space is driven by the source of scarcity, which is a constant energy of fear and constant energy of desperation. And that's immediately when people start feeling like they're being sold. They're like, fuck this guy. I am not buying shit from him, you desperate pussy. I want nothing to do with you. Now, we're not thinking that in our minds. We're just turned off. We're like, oh, well. And even if we buy, as we've already discussed in the series, we get buyer's remorse. So then this opposite game then of prosperity, watch what happens. Prosperity is production driven by purpose. And I'm not talking about some soul level purpose, change the world, God has called you. If that's how it works for you, that's fantastic. And if you feel that, that probably gives you a lot of fuel and fire. I know what that feels like. I get it. But purpose is the game of adding value. But like adding value in a very unique and different way, which is you look at what you do as a farmer planting seeds in the lives of everyone that you come in contact with. You have a giant blower of seeds and you're like, and you never stop planting. And inside that place, you have patience. You don't try to rip the plant out 2 minutes after you planted it. And everybody knows the desperate, hungry person that shows up to the fridge or goes shopping at the grocery store and is desperately starving. And in business, it is no different. The marketer who is desperate is done. So strategic seduction reframes our brain from desperation, which doesn't work out sexually and it doesn't work out financially, and allows you to reframe the game for yourself and put you into a place where patience becomes the gateway to prosperity. And prosperity is beyond abundance. Prosperity is perpetual wealth. Prosperity is the ability to continue to push, knowing that all the seeds that you planted begin to compound on themselves constantly, and people enjoy the process. And those who don't choose out tell you to fuck off and move on, and that's fine. 8 billion people on the planet, you only need 300 or 400 of them to change your life forever. Principle number 1, without the container, you can't contain her. Principle number 2, seduction is who you are. It's not what you do. Principle 3, people love to buy, AKA be seduced, but hate to be sold. And principle 4, patience brings prosperity. And that brings to conclusion here in our second section, here in our final chapter of this Strategic Seduction course, specifically here in Strategic Seduction Applied.